So the OV-10A Bronco ICM kit in 172 scale is a 2023 new tooling. It's a very special aircraft. You can see the way it's designed. It has a very short fuselage in the middle, flanked by left and right by two twin booms with the engines, and it's all connected by the vertical stabilizer connects the two twin booms. So this is a real special and complex build. I've never had any construction like this. So I'm glad you guys voted for me to build this one for this group build on Instagram. It's called #VietnamWarGB 2024. And it's the biggest group build that I have ever participated in. Now the kit offers 4 different versions that you can build. And I decided to go for this one, the 4th version. It's the Light Attack Squadron 4, also known as Val 4 or the Black Ponies. I also had some 3D printed decals from Kellic for the entire instrument board and a masking sheet from Clear Props. And one thing I noticed when I was checking on the sprues is like the wheels were not that great. I mean, the rest has very cool details. The surface is great. There are a lot of surface details and stuff. But the wheels... So I wrote an email to Andri from ResKits. And I asked him, hey Andri, look at these wheels, man. They're not too exciting. Don't you have something? Can't you help me out with, some cool accessory wheels? And yeah, he did. So he sent me a wheel set for the Bronco and also a 300-gallon fuel tank. Here is I think it's a 150-gallon fuel tank from the original kit. And that's the one Andri sent me, the 300-gallon one. It's, of course, in 172 scale, exactly fitting to the model. It comes with its own decal sheet. Now look at this. Nice instructions just to put it together. It's actually easy. It's not a big thing to put it together. And the details are very beautiful on this one, especially the structure, the surface structure, and all these small details. You could never have this in the original kit like that, this amount of details. It has the recessed panel lines. It's great. It's great. It also comes with the center pylons, very small parts in 172 scale. But yeah, eventually I could make them fit. So I think this is a very good way to pimp up my build for this very big group build on Instagram, the Vietnam War GB 2024. And I was very lucky to receive these sets. Thanks again, Andri. You're the best. That was very cool. Now I have an individual touch to my Bronco. Now the special design of this aircraft you can see with the pieces assembled here. And I already have assembled most of the cockpit. The cockpit is a twin-seater, but pilot and co-pilot are not sitting right next to each other, but behind each other. So the kit contains a lot of parts, a lot of small parts. You can see it here. Some of the parts, they were so small that I hardly could even sand them or clean them. Sometimes it was a bit difficult, but you know how it is. You always manage to do it somehow. And here, this is just actually a small part for the cockpit, the front end of the cockpit. But it contains already like 4 or 5 parts, pieces to put together. So you can see this model kit is really very well engineered. I guess some people would already call this over-engineered, but I think to me it was still in the range of being a very a complex, but a very well designed model kit. And you see here, this is the part that I was talking about. Now, the instrument boards, I had to sand them down. Yeah, because you know the 3D printed decal parts, they need a flat surface, so you can apply them on. That's why I had to sand it down. And while I was sanding, I did all. I sanded a little bit too much. 2 sections of the instrument boards, like right next to the side of the pilot. I sanded away some parts which I shouldn't have, but I guess nobody will notice. But now I mentioned it, but otherwise nobody would have noticed it. I did prime the interior with a gray primer. I used AK acrylic gray primer. I like to use gray primer for the interior so it's not getting too dark. So that little light that will enter the cockpit has some surface to reflect on so that the eye can see something inside the cockpit. Especially here because this cockpit will get quite detailed. Already from the parts, you can see it here. It's very well detailed. And this is the landing gear construction in one of the twin booms. Also here, very special construction, type of construction. Never had anything like it. But it's well done. I mean, the parts go well together. Also the small stuff. Everything is measured very well. And yeah, it's actually quite easy to assemble it. It just takes time. That's it. You need to clean all the small parts, you know, get it together, find out where to put what exactly in which way. Takes a bit more time. But the fitting of the parts is very good. Now it was time for the main wing, and I did forget one major part, which would put all the flaps in the correct position. I only found out that I missed this part later when I have already assembled everything together. It took me quite some time to make it fit properly, more or less properly. Yeah, it's like a supporting fixing part, so you can actually place those flaps really easy in the correct, and they will stay in the correct position, and it will also be easy to assemble them, to put some glue on and make sure they stay in place. Now you see here, I was a bit confused, like how exactly is this going to fit? Where do I have to connect it? And yeah, it was only later that I found out that I forgot the most important part, actually. Now, I did follow the instructions, and I used a blue-gray for the interior. But once I've sprayed it and it had dried, I was thinking like, no, this is way too bright. And I will use this AMT blue gray, which is much darker and much more gray than this one here. You can see this is almost like a light blue. This was a light blue to my eye. Maybe that light blue would have been the correct color, actually, the accurate color. But it just looked way too bright for me. I don't know. And I had some reference photos where the interior looked much more gray than light blue. So in the end, I found out that something in between, I think something in between would have been the exact correct tone. Now the second color that you need for the interior is off-white. So you actually have blue-gray and off-white. Here is the partially painted cockpit, pilot seats. Just like the basic color, actually. I applied the basic color. And this already looked quite cool. So to seal the color, I used the glossy Lucky varnish of Ammo. The good thing about this varnish is it's already thinned down. So no thinning needed. You can just apply it straight into your airbrush and start spraying. So after the gloss varnish had dried, it was time for some PLWs. I used deep brown, the enamel washes of Ammo, just my favorite washes. I also used tan gray. And what I noticed is that, over time, because it's enamel, those washes will dry out a little bit, so they won't be as fluid as they were in the beginning. I always just thin them down again with Mr. Leveling Thinner. It works actually very good, and you get that really nice flow back. That those washes are just very nicely flowing alongside the panel lines. What I really like to do when I have black parts is to weather the black down a bit with using some engine grime. Yeah, I know, the Vallejo engine grime, as the name calls it, it's actually meant to use to filth up the engines if you have an engine or something. But I found out that it works very well if you dry brush this over black parts. Because it's kind of a dark brownish gray, and if you just dry brush this over edges and details, yeah, it gives a really cool look. So that's why I use this always when I have black parts, because usually I don't really like to use like 100% black or 100% white. I prefer some rubber black or smoke black, or some variation, which is not this 100% RAL black or white tone. These are just too strong. Meanwhile, I have also painted the landing gear base. And here the yellow edge. I saw this in the reference photo. I found it very cool. Although the edge will be covered with the canopy part. But let's see how much of it. We can maybe still see something. So it was time for the Kellic 3D printed decals here, the instrument boards, also the seat belts for the cockpit seats. And if you haven't used any of these 3D printed decals, you can use them actually in this exact same way as normal decals, just except don't use any decal solution. It could or will most probably destroy those 3D printed decals. What you need to have is some PVA glue to glue them in place actually. So you have to apply a little bit of PVA glue. In the section you need to place the 3D printed decal. You can slide it off a paper sheet, and I just did apply them using my tweezers, my decal tweezers. Here's the first result of the instrument board, very beautiful. And these are the seat belts. They're quite complicated because they are in several parts. It's like same tradition as the kit. I think Kellic thought we're gonna keep it in the same tradition. So they are not too easy to apply. But also here, with a little bit of patience, you can make it work. So this is one piece of the seat belts, the main piece. Ah yeah, and the two here on the floor of the seat. But then there are these two here, which I have to bend them behind the seat, but first I have to let them dry. So also here with the 3D printed decals, it'll take some time. It's not like very difficult, but it takes time and patience. Now, please do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I see a lot of new viewers on the channel which are watching the video but haven't subscribed yet. So please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you will never miss a new upload of the Rusty Scale Show. Thanks a lot. Subscribing is totally free of charge. It'll cost you just one click. And that's it. Okay, actually it's 2 clicks. And then one more for the video like, but never mind. Now, while I'm assembling the twin booms here, I would like to mention that you saw me using the Kellic 3D printed decals, but that's not the only accessory I have for this kit. I also have some ResKit parts. I put a video together how I painted the wheels, because I have a beautiful ResKit wheel set for this build, in a separate video. I'll link it up here so you can check it out. Please have a look. The wheels are great, and also the wheels which ICM is providing with this kit, they are okay, but you know, it's a bit of a difference to the rest. And the second beautiful accessory parts that I got from ResKit is a 300-gallon additional fuel tank, extra fuel tank. Now to finish the interior, or let's say the cockpit, I did use some pigments as well, just to apply some pigments on the floor, in the corners, and yeah, mainly in the foot area. So this is the cockpit in place in the fuselage half. At the nose there you can see the weight. I had to put up a community post and ask for you guys' help. Thanks a lot for the good advice. Because also here we had this problem already with the Airfix P25, I think. That, yeah, the instruction requires an amount of weight in the nose, but the space is way too small to fill it with this kind of weight. So I asked you guys, what should I do? Yeah, there were several suggestions, and I just went with this one. I also put some fishing weights in the front end of the twin booms. And also here in the fuselage, at the just behind the back seat there, I also placed some fishing weights. Now I did this, it was actually time to do a dry fit test and see if this one still will be a tail sitter or not. So I did some dry fitting, assembled the wing, then the two twin booms, and now the final piece, and look, it worked. Okay, so here is the ResKit 300-gallon fuel tank that Andriy sent me, because I wrote an email to Andriy from ResKit, and I asked him, hey man, look, I got this ICM Bronco kit, but you know, the wheels are not really that good, so can you help me out? And he sent me the wheel set and also the 300-gallon extra fuel tank. So thanks a lot, Andriy. You're the best. These parts really make the difference in the end. You'll see it in the end. It really makes a difference. The cockpit is also quite special because it has this kind of bubble shape It was created this way to give the pilots the maximum sight, so you have a very good sight out of the cockpit. This aircraft was also used as a reconnaissance aircraft. Before we do the cockpit, let's put some beautiful metal color on this 300-gallon extra fuel tank. This piece is really great. I love it a lot because it has a very beautiful surface structure, a lot of details, rivets, but also recessed panel lines. It's just great. It looks great. It also comes with its own decal set, so we also can apply some beautiful decals. I used metal varnish as a finisher here. It's actually, it's actually the varnish of Vallejo, specially made for metal colors. Now, although the fitting of this ICM Bronco kit is quite good, as I mentioned before, small amounts of modeling putty were still needed. So I went a little bit back and forth here with the external fuel tank. Whenever the paint or the varnish has dried, I just moved on to the next step because I wanted to have a look at it once it was finished. Here I'm pre-mixing my decal solution. It's the X1, X1, X3 mix. I upgraded the mix a bit. It's like 1 part setter, 1 part softer, and 3 parts of water. 3 parts. I put a little bit more water in there. It's the perfect solution to apply on the surface before any decal touches it. So this is the decal sheet, the special ResKit decal sheet. It comes with some extra decals, so if you mess something up, there are some spare ones. I will put the links to these 2 projects in the description. Now, I'm not being paid by ResKit to do this. I just want to do this to say thanks to Andre, which sent me these 2 pieces, the wheel set and the 300-gallon extra fuel tank. Now, the most delicate thing about the fuel tank is actually to apply those centerline pylons. These 4 very small pieces here. And to make sure they're more or less in the right spot was quite difficult. So here you can see the canopy pieces, all masked with the clear prop masking set. I used micro crystal clear PVA glue to assemble the clear parts. Now the cockpit construction, that's maybe one of the most delicate parts of this build. To make sure that you can assemble this cockpit canopy construction the right way, so that in the end everything will fit together. It's not just one or two pieces, there are 4 pieces. So what I also realized during the construction was that I could never assemble everything together with the twin booms and everything, and then still be able to reach all the areas. So I realized I have to completely actually paint it and apply decals and weather it in several parts. And only in the end I can do some sort of a final assembly, assemble the twin booms, the vertical stabilizer, the wheels, the ordnance, the fuel tank and everything. So I felt like, I don't know, I was building some sort of tank or something. I've seen people doing this, and then they had to paint all the parts separately before they could put it together, because otherwise you can't reach certain areas. So it was the exact same thing here. But yeah, we are getting close to have the construction phase more or less finished, because of the fact that I just told you that, you know, I couldn't actually assemble the twin booms and stuff like that. But I was getting very close to be actually finally able to start painting this baby. So as I mentioned before, this build is the most complex build that I have ever done so far, just because of the way this entire thing is designed and constructed. You have to adapt to it when you construct it, because you also have to think about painting and weathering and reaching all the corners and stuff like that. So very interesting, also a bit demanding, but due to the very good design of the kit, you can actually do good. The only thing that I dislike here was actually the weight you have to put in the nose, but the space is too small. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, so you will get an update when I upload the next video, which will be about the painting, decaling and weathering of the OV-10 Bronco. Complex design of a rugged aircraft. And as I mentioned before, if you want to have a look how I painted the beautiful accessory ResKit wheel set, check out this video I'm showing you right now. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.